You will stop masturbating after you know this. Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle of shame and guilt because of a natural human urge? What ancient philosophers considered the key to unlocking true freedom might shock you. We're diving deep into the controversial world of masturbation, exploring its dark side and revealing how mastering this one urge can unlock a level of peace and fulfillment you never thought possible. Modern and historical perspectives on masturbation. Let's discuss the evolving viewpoints on masturbation, moving from its controversial past to a more accepting present. Throughout history, particularly for men, masturbation was considered unacceptable due to concerns about its impact on reproductive health and morality. Influential figures like Immanuel Kant deemed it morally wrong, while Victorian medical texts linked it to severe health issues, falsely claiming it could lead to blindness and mental instability. However, today's medical professionals recognize masturbation as a completely normal aspect of human sexuality, even observing it in the animal kingdom. Research reveals that a vast majority of men, around 95%, and a significant portion of women, about 71.2%, have engaged in masturbation at some point, with many doing so regularly. This shift in perspective mirrors the broader societal changes towards a more open and informed understanding of sexual health and self-discovery. Public figures have also played a role in changing the conversation. Singer Billie Eilish, for example, has highlighted the empowering aspect of masturbation, describing it as a way to strengthen self-connection and acceptance. I think that's a really powerful thing, she states. You can literally get to know your body in a way that you never would have thought possible, and become one with yourself in a way that is insane. She emphasizes that understanding one's body can even enhance intimacy with partners. Despite the progress made, stigma and shame still cling to masturbation, particularly for women, who often face societal pressures that discourage self-pleasure and might make them feel disconnected from their partners. This ongoing conflict underscores the importance of continuous open discussions and education surrounding this natural human behavior. While masturbation can be a healthy part of sexuality for many people, it's crucial to address the potential downsides, particularly when it comes to overuse. Numerous studies confirm that engaging with our sexuality in healthy and balanced ways can greatly benefit sexual health and overall well-being, making it crucial to separate facts from myths. Let's explore the science behind masturbation and its effects on the male brain. Scientific insights on the brain and masturbation. Let's delve into the science behind masturbation and its effects on the male brain. When engaging in this act, the brain releases neurotransmitters, particularly dopamine, creating a sense of reward. This feeling can lead to a pattern of seeking out the pleasure associated with masturbation. Following orgasm, the brain's desire for sex temporarily decreases, often inducing relaxation or sleepiness. This is attributed to hormonal shifts, including a rise in prolactin, which can suppress testosterone production, potentially impacting libido over time. While masturbation in moderation is generally considered normal and healthy, excessive engagement can lead to compulsive behaviors. Statistics show that about 56% of men use pornography to unwind, which is frequently linked to an increase in masturbation frequency. This behavior can create a cycle where the brain, similar to substance addiction, becomes used to high dopamine levels, requiring more intense stimulation to achieve the same pleasure. It is important to note that the American Psychological Association doesn't classify masturbation or sex addiction as mental health disorders. However, it acknowledges that compulsive sexual behaviors can negatively impact daily life and emotional well-being, potentially leading to feelings of guilt or shame, especially when conflicting with personal beliefs or societal norms. A deeper understanding of the neurological basis of these behaviors can equip individuals to make informed decisions regarding their sexual health and well-being. Before we dive in, I want to thank you all for your support. Every comment, like, and share fuels my passion to continue spreading the Stoic philosophy that transformed my life. Your engagement strengthens this community, and I'm grateful for each of you. Now let's move forward. Harmful effects of excessive masturbation. While masturbation is a normal and frequent behavior, overdoing it can impact various aspects of a person's life, including their mental, emotional, physical, and social well-being. Understanding these potential downsides is particularly crucial for those struggling with compulsive sexual behavior. Let's start with the mental and emotional impact. Excessive masturbation can mimic addiction symptoms and lead to mental health challenges such as hypersexuality disorder. This condition is marked by an all-consuming preoccupation with sexual thoughts and acts, often causing severe emotional turmoil. Individuals might grapple with guilt, shame, and a sense of emptiness due to an imbalance in dopamine, the pleasure and reward chemical in the brain. As neuroscientist Dr. Anna Lembke states, the more you engage in something that spikes your dopamine, the more your brain craves it. When masturbation becomes the main source of pleasure, finding satisfaction in other activities can become difficult, adding to a sense of frustration. Studies suggest that about 5 to 10% of people may deal with hypersexuality or compulsive sexual behavior, severely impacting their quality of life. Often this condition develops as a way to cope with stress or anxiety, creating a cycle of dependence on sexual gratification to manage difficult emotions. Now let's consider the physical effects. Frequent stimulation can lead to discomfort such as skin irritation or soreness. Some individuals may also encounter sexual issues, including erectile dysfunction or delayed ejaculation, particularly if they rely heavily on masturbation for sexual release. This can occur when the body becomes desensitized to stimulation, leading to a decrease in sexual responsiveness. Moreover, overuse of masturbation can result in dopamine adaptation, where the brain's reward system becomes less sensitive to dopamine, requiring more frequent or intense stimulation to experience the same level of pleasure. This can then make it harder for individuals to enjoy sex with a partner, adding to feelings of inadequacy and frustration. Excessive masturbation can significantly impact social and personal relationships. Many individuals struggling with this issue may isolate themselves, choosing the comfort of self-pleasure over socializing with friends, family, or romantic partners. This can put a strain on relationships, leaving partners feeling unimportant and neglected. Furthermore, constantly watching pornography, which often accompanies excessive masturbation, can create unrealistic expectations about sex, leading to disappointment in real-life encounters. These unrealistic comparisons can generate intimacy issues, making it difficult to connect with partners emotionally and physically. It's important to remember that the consequences of excessive masturbation extend beyond personal distress. They can manifest in harmful behaviors. This might include increasing reliance on pornography and engaging in risky sexual encounters, jeopardizing personal relationships and leading to potential health or legal issues, further compounding the negative effects on an individual's life. In short, while masturbation is a normal aspect of human sexuality, excessive engagement can be detrimental. If you or someone you know is grappling with these issues, seeking help from a qualified professional can be a positive step toward addressing these behaviors and promoting overall well-being. Understanding the mental, emotional, physical, and social ramifications of excessive masturbation is essential for establishing healthier sexual habits and relationships. Masturbation and Stoicism: a path to self-control. Let's explore how Stoic philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius viewed masturbation, not just as a physical act, but as a gateway to self-understanding and mastering one's desires. For the Stoics, self-control was paramount in achieving a heightened state of consciousness and true freedom. They believed that by practicing restraint, we could gain insight into our emotions and develop greater discipline in life. Masturbation in this context becomes a practical exercise in mastering desires. When approached with a Stoic mindset, it offers an opportunity to observe and comprehend the impulses that drive us. Instead of readily giving in, one can pause and reflect on their nature and the fleeting satisfaction they offer. This aligns perfectly with Marcus Aurelius's powerful words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote highlights that true strength resides in our ability to govern our thoughts and reactions instead of being ruled by external stimuli or urges. By adopting this perspective on masturbation, we can learn to distinguish between natural desires and compulsive behaviors. The Stoics emphasize that constantly yielding to every desire restricts our freedom. Therefore, resisting such impulses can cultivate a sense of liberation and self-mastery. This approach encourages us to engage in introspection, questioning whether our actions are consistent with our values and aspirations. Ultimately, embracing a Stoic philosophy towards our desires, whether through masturbation or other urges, can lead to a greater understanding of ourselves and enhance our emotional strength. By mastering our desires, we not only unlock greater personal freedom, but also pave the path towards a more meaningful and fulfilling life. The emotional and philosophical consequences of uncontrolled masturbation. When we lose control over masturbation, it can severely damage our connection to nature and inner peace concepts at the very core of Stoic philosophy. This lack of control often plunges individuals into emotional turmoil marked by guilt, shame, and a diminished sense of self-worth. These feelings can easily spiral into a vicious cycle of negativity, creating a gulf between us and our true selves as well as our connection to the world around us. The Stoics firmly believed that reflection, managing our emotions, and moderation were essential practices for achieving a sense of balance and inner peace. Indulging in uncontrolled masturbation disrupts this vital equilibrium. It creates a disconnect between us and our natural state of being. This detachment fosters a lack of fulfillment and a persistent emptiness because the momentary pleasure gained is quickly overshadowed by deeper feelings of regret and dissatisfaction. Marcus Aurelius perfectly captured this internal struggle when he wrote, "Curb impulse, quench desire, let sovereign reason have the mastery." This encapsulates the Stoic belief that true strength lies not in surrendering to our every urge, but in harnessing control over them. When we allow reason to be our compass, we can navigate our desires more effectively, leading to a life that's more balanced and in tune with ourselves. The emotional fallout from uncontrolled masturbation underscores the crucial role of self-awareness and self-regulation. When we take the time to reflect on our actions and how they impact our emotional well-being, we can cultivate a healthier, more balanced relationship with our desires. This practice not only allows us to find inner peace, but also helps align our actions with our values and principles, ultimately leading to a more fulfilling existence. By weaving Stoic principles into the fabric of our daily lives, we are better equipped to face our impulses with a mindful awareness and a sense of moderation. In doing so, we have the power to transform the inner turmoil often associated with uncontrolled desires into valuable opportunities for personal growth and self-mastery. It is through this journey that we can rediscover our inner peace and reconnect with the beauty of the natural world. Achieving inner peace through self-mastery. The Stoics firmly believed that true contentment doesn't come from chasing fleeting pleasures, but from mastering our desires. This principle is especially important when considering masturbation. While it may offer temporary gratification, it can often leave us feeling guilty, ashamed, and unfulfilled. However, by incorporating Stoic practices like meditation and mindfulness, we can cultivate a deeper awareness of our impulses and develop the self-discipline to resist them. Many personal stories of transformation highlight the profound impact these practices can have on our emotional well-being and overall quality of life. Take, for example, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Throughout his reign, he faced numerous challenges. Yet, amidst those pressures, he remained steadfastly committed to practicing self-control and cultivating inner peace. In his personal reflections, he emphasized the importance of resisting our urges and focusing on what we can control, writing, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Through consistent effort and the practice of self-mastery, individuals can learn to resist giving in to uncontrolled masturbation and instead redirect that energy toward more fulfilling endeavors. By fostering a mindset of moderation and learning to regulate our emotions, we can unlock a sense of peace and mental clarity that is often elusive in a world filled with constant distractions and temptations. The path to inner peace is undeniably challenging, but it's a journey worth undertaking. By integrating the core principles of Stoicism into our lives and making a conscious effort toward self-mastery, we can break free from the grip of uncontrolled desires and discover genuine satisfaction in the pursuit of virtue and wisdom. So we've explored some complex aspects of self-exploration and well-being, navigating between historical stigma and modern scientific understanding. Remember, knowledge is power, And understanding ourselves, our bodies, and our impulses is key to living a fulfilling life, just like knowing which path to take on a journey. What are your thoughts? Have you encountered these stigmas? Let's discuss in the comments. And don't forget to show your support for Stoic Insights by hitting that like button and subscribing for more content like this. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future discussions. Until next time, take care. The art of selfishness. Why self-love and selfishness are the secret to a good life. Is loving yourself actually selfish? What happens when we put our needs first? Get ready to have your mind blown. We're diving deep into the philosophies of history's greatest minds to uncover the shocking truth about self-love, selfishness, and finding happiness. Society throws us mixed signals about self-love and selfishness. On one hand, we're told to prioritize our happiness, but on the other, selfishness is painted in a bad light. It can leave us confused, torn between caring for ourselves and caring for others. But here's the catch. Healthy self-love is different from selfishness that harms others. Self-love means accepting who we are, flaws and all, setting boundaries, and making our well-being a priority without guilt. Healthy selfishness? That's when we stand up for what we need and make choices that feed our happiness, even if they don't align with everyone's expectations. Lucille Ball put it beautifully, love yourself first and everything else falls into line. When we truly value ourselves, we show up for others in a more authentic, fulfilling way. By embracing healthy selfishness, we keep our cup full so we can pour more into the lives of those we care about, instead of running on empty. Research from the University of California, Riverside backs this up. Happiness isn't about what's happening around us. It's about how we see ourselves and the world. Another study shows that when we focus on caring for ourselves, body, mind, and soul, it boosts our self-worth, reduces stress, and motivates us to keep growing. The real magic happens when we find balance. It's not about being selfish or selfless. It's about honoring our needs so we can show up as our best selves, ready to give to the people and causes that matter to us. Because in the end, taking care of ourselves isn't selfish. It's essential for living a joyful, purpose-driven life. Self-love, the foundation for mental health and well-being. Think of self-love as a shield, a protective barrier against self-doubt, criticism, and that nagging inner voice that's often too harsh. Self-love plays a major role in our mental and emotional health. According to the Mental Health Foundation, people with high self-esteem are far less likely to experience anxiety or depression. And why? Because self-love offers the emotional validation we need to feel stable and grounded. This isn't just a feel-good theory. The National Institute of Mental Health found that over 80% of those who practice self-love regularly see a noticeable reduction in negative self-talk. And there's more. Self-love builds resilience, giving us the strength to face life's challenges with confidence. As Brené Brown wisely said, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we will ever do. Picture self-love and healthy selfishness working together like two essential ingredients in a recipe for a fulfilling life. They create harmony, helping us cultivate inner peace and grow into the best version of ourselves. Together, they give us the confidence to face life's ups and downs with grace and strength. Imagine self-love as preparing the soil in a garden, laying the foundation for positivity, self-worth, and strength to flourish. Then, healthy selfishness steps in, like sunshine and water, nurturing that growth. Together, they help us find that perfect balance between honoring our needs and respecting the needs of others. As we move forward, we'll continue uncovering more wisdom from thinkers, philosophers, and psychologists who have paved the way toward genuine self-love and healthy selfishness. Their teachings aren't just ideas. They offer practical insights that can transform our lives from the inside out. So let's embrace this journey with open hearts and minds, ready to learn, grow, and thrive. Let's start our exploration of self-love with a true pioneer in the field of psychology, Carl Rogers. Born in 1902, he was one of the founding fathers of humanistic psychology, and his theories continue to shape the way we understand ourselves. Rogers believed that every single one of us has goodness and incredible potential inside. But to really blossom into the best version of ourselves, to achieve what he called self-actualization, we need a specific kind of love, one he called unconditional positive regard. This, according to Rogers, is the very essence of self-love. What exactly is unconditional positive regard? It means accepting and cherishing ourselves fully and completely without conditions or judgment, regardless of our actions or accomplishments. It means knowing that our worth is inherent. It's not dependent on outside validation or meeting other people's expectations. In the context of our exploration of self-love and healthy selfishness, Rogers' message rings loud and clear. Our self-worth doesn't have to be earned, it simply is. And when we shower ourselves with this unconditional love, we create a safe space inside ourselves. This psychological safety is what empowers us to explore our inner world, to grow, and to eventually step into our full potential. With that unshakable foundation of self-acceptance, we're free to set healthy boundaries and ask for what we need without guilt or shame. This idea of unconditional positive regard was at the heart of Rogers' approach to therapy. He believed in a client-centered method where the therapist's primary role was to offer empathy, acceptance, and genuine understanding. In this type of setting, clients felt safe to explore their thoughts and emotions, eventually uncovering their own wisdom and answers. This, according to Rogers, is true for self-love, too. The answers are already within us. We just need to cultivate self-compassion and acceptance to unlock them. Rogers' powerful insights invite us to view self-love as a fundamental building block for personal growth. When we accept ourselves fully, imperfections and all, we ignite a sense of resilience and confidence within us, empowering us to face life's challenges with courage. His work is a beautiful reminder that self-love isn't about being flawless, but about embracing every part of who we are and allowing that radical acceptance to set us free. Do you believe Carl Rogers' concept of unconditional positive regard is essential for true self-love and personal growth? Comment with yes or no. From Carl Rogers' insightful work on unconditional positive regard, we now turn to another influential figure in psychology, Abraham Maslow. Born in 1908, he's perhaps most recognized for his theory of the hierarchy of needs, often depicted as a pyramid outlining the essential things humans need to thrive. At the base of the pyramid are our fundamental needs for survival, like food, water, and shelter. As we move up, we see the need for safety and security, then love and belonging, followed by esteem and recognition. And finally, at the very top of the pyramid, we reach self-actualization, the process of fully stepping into our potential and living a life filled with purpose and meaning. Maslow believed that we can't reach that pinnacle of self-actualization unless the needs below it have been met. We need to feel safe, loved, and confident in ourselves before we can truly reach for our dreams. And this is where self-love becomes absolutely crucial. To ascend Maslow's pyramid, we need to prioritize our well-being, physically, emotionally, and mentally. This means honoring our need for connection and belonging, while also developing a healthy sense of self-esteem, something deeply interconnected with self-love. Maslow's emphasis on self-esteem and reaching our full potential makes a strong case for why self-love is so important. When we don't love and value ourselves, it's hard to cultivate the confidence and self-respect necessary to go after our dreams. Self-love, in a sense, becomes the foundation upon which we can build a life filled with meaning and purpose, allowing us to embrace our passions, hone our talents, and ultimately experience self-actualization. Interestingly, Maslow recognized that the journey towards self-actualization might look like selfishness, but in a healthy sense of the word. To really blossom into the best versions of ourselves, sometimes we need to prioritize our own growth and well-being, even if it means saying no to things that drain our energy or pull us away from our path. This isn't about being self-centered or disregarding others, but rather recognizing that personal growth requires dedication to our own evolution. Maslow's model suggests that when our own cups are full, we actually become better equipped to contribute positively to the world around us, creating a beautiful ripple effect that spreads outward. Both Rogers and Maslow highlight the power of self-love as a driving force for growth, fulfillment, and happiness, both personally and professionally. Their work serves as a reminder that loving and accepting ourselves isn't just an act of kindness toward ourselves, it ripples out, impacting those around us and the world we live in. Let's travel back in time again, this time to ancient Rome, where a powerful philosophy called Stoicism emerged. One of the most influential Stoic philosophers was Epictetus, born around 55 AD in what's now Turkey. He lived an extraordinary life, starting out as a slave and rising to become a renowned teacher. Epictetus's teachings on resilience, self-control, and finding inner peace continue to resonate even thousands of years later. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the idea that while we have little control over the things that happen to us in life, we have complete control over how we respond. This emphasis on taking ownership of our thoughts and reactions connects directly to the ideas of self-love and healthy selfishness. Epictetus taught that true happiness, or a state of flourishing, doesn't depend on external factors like wealth, status, or even good health. Instead, it's cultivated by practicing virtue and finding stillness, even amidst chaos. In this way, Stoicism offers us a path to self-love that's built on a foundation of self-discipline, rationality, and emotional resilience. One of the most enduring lessons from Epictetus is the importance of distinguishing between what's within our control and what's outside of it. He suggested we dedicate our energy to things we can influence, such as our thoughts, beliefs, actions, and reactions. When we let go of trying to control the uncontrollable, we naturally experience more inner peace. This is self-love in action, protecting our mental and emotional well-being by not allowing ourselves to be swept away by the things we can't change. Stoicism encourages us to find our inner strength through discipline and living a life aligned with our values. In many ways, this looks a lot like the concept of healthy selfishness. It's about prioritizing what matters most to us, setting healthy boundaries, and having the courage to say no when something disrupts our equilibrium or doesn't feel aligned with who we are. The Stoic path, as taught by Epictetus, invites us to become masters of our minds, to choose virtue over fleeting pleasure, and to cultivate a deep well of inner strength that can't be touched by external circumstances. This kind of self-love is both empowering and freeing. We can put these principles into practice even in the midst of our busy modern lives. Imagine facing a stressful situation, a challenging deadline at work, a difficult conversation, or a disappointment. Stoicism encourages us to take a breath and remember what we can and cannot control. Perhaps we can't wave a magic wand and change the situation, but we can control how hard we work, how we manage our time, and how we choose to show up in that moment. We can approach the challenge with patience and kindness toward ourselves rather than with frustration or self-criticism. These seemingly small shifts, inspired by ancient wisdom, are acts of self-love, reminding us that we're doing our best even in the face of challenges. From the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, we now leap forward to the 20th century, where a powerful new philosophical movement emerged: existentialism. One of its most prominent figures was Jean-Paul Sartre, born in Paris in 1905. His ideas about freedom, choice, and the importance of living authentically resonate deeply with our exploration of self-love and healthy selfishness. Sartre famously said, "Existence precedes essence," meaning that we aren't born with a predetermined purpose or a fixed identity. We come into this world as blank slates, and it's through our choices and actions that we define who we are. This existential freedom can be both exhilarating and a bit terrifying. It puts the responsibility of crafting our lives entirely on our own shoulders. Sartre believed the truest way to live was to embrace this freedom wholeheartedly, to make choices that aligned with our deepest selves, rather than simply conforming to what society expected of us. He called this authenticity. What does authenticity have to do with self-love? Sartre's philosophy urges us to honor our true nature. It's about having the courage to acknowledge and own our desires, our values, and our choices. It demands a level of self-acceptance that empowers us to pursue our passions and dreams, even if they don't fit the mold. This form of self-love isn't about chasing selfish desires. It's about crafting a life that reflects who we truly are. But here's an important point. Sartre was clear that this incredible freedom to choose comes hand in hand with responsibility. Living authentically isn't a license to disregard the needs and feelings of others or to make self-centered choices without considering the impact on those around us. He believed true authenticity involved a delicate dance between honoring our own individuality while acknowledging our interconnectedness. It's about making choices that resonate with our own moral compass while still respecting the freedom and dignity of everyone around us. For Sartre, living authentically requires facing our freedom head-on, accepting the weight of it, and not shrinking back into the comfortable but inauthentic stance of pretending we don't have a choice. He called this inauthentic way of being bad faith, and it often sounds like blaming external factors or other people for the circumstances of our lives. In contrast, an authentic life might mean choosing a non-traditional career path because it sets our soul on fire. It could look like having a difficult conversation with a loved one about a need that's not being met because true intimacy demands honesty, even when it's hard. As we can see, Sartre's philosophy offers a unique and empowering perspective on self-love and what it means to be fully alive. It challenges us to ask ourselves tough questions about what we truly value, to shed the weight of societal expectations, and to step bravely into the unknown, knowing that every choice we make, every action we take is a brushstroke in the ever-evolving masterpiece of our lives. Now let's turn to a more provocative and perhaps controversial figure, Ayn Rand. Born in Russia in 1905, she eventually made her way to the United States, where she became known for her novels, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, as well as her bold philosophical views. Central to her philosophy, known as objectivism, was the belief that each of us has a moral obligation to pursue our own happiness above all else. Rand called this idea rational selfishness, and she emphasized that prioritizing our own needs and goals should never be seen as a disregard for others. Rather, it's a way to live a life that's both authentic and fulfilling. Rand was clear that rational selfishness wasn't a free pass to exploit or harm others. Instead, she believed it's about aligning our actions with our deeply held values and making choices that lead to genuine happiness and fulfillment in the long run. For Rand, true success and well-being happen when we prioritize our own growth. In her view, actions like self-sacrifice and altruism, which require putting the needs of others before our own, could actually be harmful, holding people back from becoming the best versions of themselves. To really grasp Rand's idea of rational selfishness, it's helpful to consider her distinction between seeking fleeting pleasure and pursuing long-term self-interest. While short-term selfishness often involves impulsive decisions that feel good in the moment, rational selfishness demands thoughtfulness and reason, leading to actions that support our long-term goals and values. A truly selfish person, according to Rand, wouldn't lie or cheat their way to the top because ultimately those actions chip away at our integrity and self-respect, causing damage over time. Rand's philosophy turns the traditional idea of selfishness on its head. She reframes it not as a vice but as a virtue. When we embrace responsibility for our own happiness, she believed, we create a world where everyone is free to pursue their own interests. While her ideas continue to be debated, her emphasis on self-responsibility and living in alignment with our values adds an important dimension to our exploration of self-love and healthy selfishness. As we journey through these different perspectives, one common thread appears. Self-love and healthy selfishness, when approached with thoughtfulness and reason, aren't about disregarding the needs of others. They're crucial elements in fostering personal growth, finding fulfillment, and yes, even contributing to the world around us in a positive way. From Roger's unconditional positive regard to Rand's rational selfishness, these great thinkers provide us with frameworks and tools for taking care of our own needs while coexisting respectfully with others. Our journey continues. Next, we'll delve into ancient wisdom, exploring how philosophers from centuries past viewed these same questions about balance, self-care, and living a meaningful life. Stay with us as we continue to uncover profound insights into the intricate dance between self-love, healthy selfishness, and creating a life of purpose. Do you agree with Ayn Rand's philosophy that rational selfishness is key to living an authentic and fulfilling life? Comment with yes or no. Let's journey back in time now to ancient Greece, where we meet the brilliant philosopher Aristotle. Born in 384 BC, Aristotle gave us enduring insights into the nature of happiness and living a meaningful life, and he too grappled with the ideas of self-love and selfishness. Central to his teachings was the concept of eudaimonia, a word often translated as happiness, but carrying a deeper meaning of flourishing or living well. For Aristotle, achieving eudaimonia wasn't about fleeting moments of pleasure, but rather about living virtuously and experiencing a deep sense of purpose over a lifetime. Here's where it gets interesting. Aristotle believed that self-love was not only acceptable but crucial for achieving this state of eudaimonia, but his understanding of self-love was quite different from how we might define narcissism or egotism today. True self-love, according to Aristotle, was about actively pursuing what was genuinely good for us. This involved cultivating virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-control, qualities that helped us become the best versions of ourselves, not just for our own benefit, but for the good of those around us as well. He called this rational self-interest, understanding that by pursuing our own personal excellence, we naturally make the world a better place. In Aristotle's view, this striving for excellence wasn't selfish at all. It was a moral duty. When we focus on developing our character and using our talents, we unlock a deeper sense of fulfillment while simultaneously making a positive impact on the world. It's about living in alignment with our highest potential, honoring our gifts and sharing them freely. Here's an example of how this might look in our modern lives. Imagine you're an artist. The time and dedication you pour into honing your craft is, in itself, an act of self-love. You're nurturing your talent and pursuing excellence, but this dedication also allows you to share your unique gifts with the world, enriching the lives of those who experience your art. Or think about someone who chooses a career path that truly lights them up, even if it doesn't offer the promise of great wealth or fame. In the spirit of Aristotle, this commitment to pursuing a path that is both challenging and fulfilling is another expression of virtuous self-love. What we can take away from Aristotle is this powerful reminder that self-love and pursuing our own best interests, when approached with wisdom and virtue, are not selfish acts. In fact, they're essential ingredients for a life well lived, a life full of meaning, contribution, and ultimately true happiness. He challenges us to ask ourselves what we truly value, what makes us come alive, and how we can best contribute those passions and talents to the world around us. Buddhism. Let's journey now to ancient India, where another profound philosophy emerged over 2,500 years ago. The teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha, have brought peace and insight to millions around the world. His wisdom feels particularly relevant to our exploration of self-love and healthy selfishness, as we'll soon discover. At the heart of Buddhism is a concept called the middle way. It's a path that encourages balance and moderation, steering clear of the extremes of self-indulgence and harsh self-denial. The Buddha himself experimented with these extremes earlier in his life. He lived as both an ascetic and a prince, experiencing the limitations of each. Eventually, he realized that neither excessive indulgence nor harsh deprivation led to genuine happiness or lasting peace. Instead, he discovered a path of balance, a mindful and compassionate approach to living that honored both our own needs and the needs of others. In the Buddhist tradition, self-love isn't viewed as a selfish pursuit at all. It's actually seen as a form of compassion directed inward. The Buddha taught that everyone, including ourselves, deserves kindness, understanding, and care. This practice of self-compassion aligns perfectly with self-love. It encourages us to treat ourselves gently, especially during times of difficulty. Now, it's important to note that the Buddha wasn't condoning the kind of selfishness that arises from greed, attachment, or delusion. In Buddhism, acting in ways that harm others or create suffering is seen as a roadblock on the path to enlightenment. But taking care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being isn't viewed through that same lens of selfishness. It's simply a necessary part of being a healthy and balanced person. When our own cups are full, Buddhists teach, we have more to give to the world. Many of the practices at the heart of Buddhism, meditation, mindfulness, and loving-kindness practices, to name a few, offer powerful tools for cultivating self-love. With mindfulness, we learn to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, allowing a deep sense of self-acceptance to arise. Loving-kindness meditations guide us to send out waves of love and compassion, first to ourselves, then expanding outward to embrace others. In our busy, modern world, it can be easy to lose sight of this beautiful concept of balance. Buddhism, with its emphasis on the middle way, calls us back to that place of harmony. It reminds us that self-love isn't selfish. It's about cultivating a kind, mindful, and balanced approach to living, caring for ourselves as tenderly as we care for others. This ancient wisdom invites us to step off the roller coaster of extremes and to walk a path of balance and compassion. Friedrich Nietzsche. Born in 1844, Nietzsche's philosophy challenged conventional thinking, urging us to embrace our power as individuals and to live lives defined by courage and authenticity. Central to his philosophy was the idea of the will to power. Now, before you imagine conquering armies and ruling the world, understand that Nietzsche wasn't talking about dominating others. He used this phrase to describe the force within each of us that propels us toward growth, self-expression, and the fulfillment of our unique potential. For Nietzsche, self-love and what we're calling healthy selfishness weren't just beneficial. They were essential for living a truly empowered life. He believed that many societal norms were designed to keep us small, to pressure us into conforming rather than stepping into our power as individuals. To truly thrive, he argued, we have to shed those expectations and claim the right to prioritize our own growth and evolution. He famously said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how," highlighting the importance of finding our unique purpose, our why, as fuel to carry us through challenges. Nietzsche believed that conforming to expectations, especially those that left us feeling depleted, resentful, or stifled, was the opposite of self-love. He called us to reject any sense of guilt that arose when we chose to honor our own needs and desires. Become who you are, he implored. This, he believed, is where true fulfillment resides, in the courageous act of self-discovery, in forging our own path, and in silencing the voices of those who try to put us in a box. In many ways, his ideas perfectly encapsulate the concept of healthy selfishness. It's not that we should disregard the needs of others, but that we can't truly show up for others unless we have something to offer. And that something is cultivated by nurturing ourselves, by prioritizing our well-being so that we can blossom into the most potent, powerful version of ourselves. And he wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe, reminding us that sometimes self-love requires courage. The courage to be different, to stand out, and to create a life that is a true reflection of who we are meant to be." Through his work, Nietzsche calls on each of us to ask, what if our unique gifts and passions are meant to be shared with the world? What if, by embracing self-love and what others might label as selfishness, we unlock a level of purpose and creativity that wouldn't be possible otherwise? Our journey culminates in the mid-20th century with the work of Erich Fromm, a philosopher and psychologist who offered a powerful and insightful perspective on the nature of love itself. Born in Germany in 1900, Fromm is perhaps best known for his book The Art of Loving, which reframes how we think about love. He didn't see it as some mystical force or a fleeting feeling, but rather as a skill to be developed, an art that required practice, commitment, and deep self-awareness. One of Fromm's most important teachings was his distinction between self-love and narcissism. These are often confused, but he saw them as completely different concepts. He believed that genuine self-love is not about egotism or vanity, but rather about recognizing our intrinsic worth and assuming responsibility for our own well-being. Fromm believed that self-love and love for others were inseparable. One couldn't truly exist without the other. In his view, when we learn to cherish and accept ourselves, flaws and all, we're able to offer that same unconditional love to the people around us. He saw self-love as a form of self-respect that created a strong foundation for growth and personal evolution. When we lack this essential self-love, he observed, we become overly reliant on others for validation and approval, leading to unhealthy relationships and often emotional suffering. Fromm presented a beautifully holistic approach to self-love, one that urged us to accept our imperfections, to champion our own growth and healing, and to show up with compassion both for ourselves and others. By viewing self-love through this lens, as an ongoing practice and an art we refine throughout our lives, we tap into a deep well of resilience, empowering us to navigate the complexities of life with more grace and ease. We've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? From ancient Greece to modern-day thinkers, one thing is clear. Self-love is way more complex than we often realize. It's not about being self-centered. It's about being true to ourselves, honoring our needs, and living a life that reflects our deepest values. What resonated with you the most? Whose philosophy really got you thinking? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. And hey, if you found this exploration as fascinating as I did, hit that like button and subscribe to Stoic Insights so you won't miss our future deep dives. Hit that notification bell too so you're always in the loop. Until next time, keep asking those big questions and living your most courageous life.